Everybody. Sorry for the technical problems. Now that we're sorted, we can get started. My name is Adeline, and with me are my colleagues from the Netherlands Embassy. I have Ms. Karen Rankuret and Ms. Susan van Boxel, who will also join me in today's presentation. So before I start, I think a picture speaks 1,000 words, and what more, a movie. So I'll play that first, and then we'll start proper. And so this is what our presentation is about, the Netherlands, your creative gateway to Europe. A little bit of background. Recently, as the embassy, we have also been working with various games company here, so both games developer and also end users of the game products. And that's why we would also like to thank the organizer for allowing us this chance to actually speak with you on what are some of the collaborative opportunities that you can find specifically in the Netherlands for the European market. So this is what will happen. I'll share a bit about the background on the creative sector in the Netherlands, why when you're looking at Europe you should look at the Netherlands, start from there. We'll share a bit of the project and company showcase, and my colleague Susan from the Netherlands Office for Science and Technology will then talk a bit more about what are some of the collaborative frameworks we use with the research institutes, what are some of the events we have done, and of course how we can then help you from here in Singapore. So where is the Netherlands? Well, we like to say that it's right in the heart of Europe, so you get access to many of the European countries, be it services, in terms of very stable, good internet systems. And of course, a lot of the companies from all around Europe would meet also in the Netherlands. So the Netherlands is densely populated. It's a very open economy focusing on international trade. So some of the big names you can think of would be Philips, Shell, Unilever. So it's a big testament to how open the Netherlands is to trading. And of course, the Netherlands literally means low country, as once you reach Schiphol Airport, you are below sea level. And some people say that's why the Dutch are one of the tallest in the world. So I think my colleague can share a bit more on that. So for the Netherlands, in terms of global trend, Well, we see that for the purple line for games, it is increasing very steadily across all the different media forms. So like books, DVD, music, games is increasing. And that is the general landscape, but if we look at the Dutch landscape, games has overseeded all the rest. So that also means in the Netherlands, users, companies, have a very clear concept of the idea of gamification and how that can be used in the corporate world, in terms of education, and even for personal learning. And of course, in the hospitals, we use a lot of gamification also for therapy, which my colleague will talk a bit more about. Dutch trend, in terms of growth segment, total game market takes a high percentage. And from the recent Ambient Insight reports, it actually shows that Finland, the Netherlands, and Singapore are major hubs for game-based learning innovation. And I think that should be very interesting to many of the game developers here, especially if you are looking at game development for the education sector or for the hospitals. And in the Netherlands, the game-based learning adoption is actually common across all buying sectors. So that also means across various industry, be it the maritime industry, the logistics industry, education, security. Games, serious games play a very big component in that. Some facts for serious gaming in the Netherlands, it is a network sector. What does that mean? That means that there is a lot of innovation going on. We talk about the 3P model, so public-private partnership. That is very common in the Netherlands, and we see that for a company to succeed in this area, it is very important to be in that network. There are about 100 to 200 companies in this particular sector in the Netherlands, and we have very specialized institutions for this. And also there is a lot of scientific development at university levels. So how does it look like? If we look at this, we call it the Dutch biotope, there is actually an integration of all the specific skills that are needed within the industry. People from the different disciplines come together to make a common serious game for a specific purpose. So this chart, I will not go into details for each of them, but you can see at a glance, this is the growth of the Dutch games industry. And you can see it grew very quickly from 1995 all the way to 2011. So at this stage, we have already close to 200 serious game company in the Netherlands. Some of the players in the market, so we start from the game developers themselves, the distributors, and then surrounding them, we have all the related services around it. So you have the online payments, the marketing, the design. So that also means there are a lot of freelancers in the Netherlands that does work for the games industry. Some of the major strengths, as we talked about, the Netherlands has a very strong infrastructure. So in Amsterdam, it's actually the European Internet Exchange, where it's there. So companies can be guaranteed of a very reliable network within the Netherlands itself. Very good testing ground, because the Netherlands is seen as a very neutral company within the country within the EU itself. Many of the Asian companies actually look at the Netherlands as a test bed for the European market. So that also means when they have a new product, they will launch it in the Netherlands first. If it works, then they will expand it to the rest of Europe. And then if it doesn't, they work on it again. And of course, if you're looking to be in a country, what is important is also, are there people you can collaborate with, people you can work with? So we have a very skilled and educated workforce in the Netherlands. And as you saw in the previous slides, there are many external parties that are more than happy to work with game developers. There are many incubators in the Netherlands that also facilitates all these networking opportunities where companies can meet with each other. And that's where you also find the people that you can work with. And lastly, we have a very supportive government. The Dutch government is very open and willing to invest in innovation. We will see in the next slide, this translates into tax benefits. And there are very good tax regulations for foreign companies. and also for small setups that are interested in setting up in the Netherlands. Let me close this. So some of the tax incentives or tax schemes, to be more precise, there is a very attractive tax regime in the Netherlands. And of course, you have to look at this relative to EU itself. We're not talking about a percentage rate of 20 to 25%. This is the headline tax rate. In terms of effective tax rate, we are then looking at about 17 to 18%, which is then very competitive with Asia, in fact. There are a number of research and development incentives available for companies that have set up in the Netherlands. Some of them would be the innovation box. So this means that if you develop a product in the Netherlands and the IP stays with your Dutch office, the profits from the sale of that particular product is actually taxed at 5%. So that makes it very attractive for some of the companies that are interested in Europe as a market. And of course, we have big investments in education. So it's easy to work with the research institutes, because what is important these days we see is actually validation of games, especially if you're looking at the medical industry. So this we will also talk a bit more later. So what are some of the possible opportunities available for us here? Well, some of the cases we have seen would be, if you're looking at customers in Europe, we're talking about a region where there are different languages, different mindsets. So you would like to find a local partner to then customize your product to the market. So you might then want to look for a local partner, and this is something we can help you with. Or perhaps you would like to look for a partner to then jointly collaborate to come up with a new product, so you do not have a finished product on hand. This is something we can also help you with. And of course, with new trends, new cross-discipline industries coming up, you might want to then look at what is next, what is above what's happening right now. So if you are interested in any of these points, do speak to us after this event, and then we will have a further discussion. So some of the companies and some of the projects, you see, we split them up in terms of the publishers, the distributors. So this gives you, at a glance, what are some of the companies in the Netherlands, which are the Dutch-owned, which are the foreign ones that have set up. So you see most of the popular names, Microsoft, Xylom, are in the Netherlands, and these are some of the Dutch-owned ones. So the next generation of serious games, the world is definitely big enough for multiplayer, multidisciplinary integration and collaboration. We talk about possible developments for the different platforms. These days, some of the medical games in the Netherlands actually uses a Wii control, and also integrating things like artificial intelligence. And lastly, what is also very important these days is the validation of claims. If you make a game for the education industry, the principals and the teachers these days want to know, is it backed by research? How do you do that? Do you want to finish the game to the end and then you work with a research institute? Or do you want to do it jointly? And this is the model that we see is working a lot these days. So these are some of the areas of key application which I've talked about earlier on. So e-learning, healthcare, augmented reality, security, so that's maritime, logistics, and of course there are some other areas as well. Some of the examples of companies, you have this. It's a writing software for children. Lara, it's for augmented reality, so you take a picture of a building and then it tells you what is it about. Grendel Games are very big in healthcare, especially for laparoscopy surgeons. And of course, this you might be familiar with, they do casual games. I'd like to hand this time over to my colleague who will talk a bit more about some of the research institutes you can work with.
Yeah. So I will continue with a bit of information about the research institutes in the Netherlands. But first, when you enter the Netherlands and you want to start your business there, please don't forget that we have very good networking opportunities and associations to help you. You are not on your own. So your first networking opportunity will be with the Dutch Game Garden, and that is a foundation that helps the games industry to grow. It's not only for the Dutch, but very internationally oriented. They have an incubator program with a flexible office, financing, coaching, anything you need. So it's really a soft landing spot for you in the Netherlands. Also a business center, and they will make sure that you connect to all the right partners or research institutes that you need. And maybe you can even join one of them, of their joint projects. Oh. You cannot hear? Oh. Another thing is the Dutch Media Hub. They will help you in the support system. So for instance, they can help you with all the taxes. If you want to have help, for instance, in watermarking of your content, they can link you up with the right partners there. Another thing is that, well, they can do a lot, market research for you, etc., etc. So if you think about you want to establish your company in the Netherlands, then please let us know. We link you up with these people. One of the research institutes in the Netherlands is TNO, and TNO, for those who don't know what TNO is about, it's really comparable to A-Star in Singapore. So TNO is really the missing link between universities and companies. So they will help bring your innovation, bring your idea to an innovation and really a product. So what they will do, they will work together with universities to develop this knowledge. They work with partners to, well, to understand how can you bring the knowledge to a product. They work with customers. For instance, what is very important to validate a product and to help you embed your product into the market. And if you are looking for a partner like this, then please let us know. They have projects in all these different areas. This is a huge research institute of more than 4,000 researchers. One of the examples that they have done in serious gaming is one project in this program called GATE. So if you want to know more about all the projects in GATE, then send me an email and I will send you a link, because there are many, many beautiful examples of projects in GATE. One of them is what is always interesting, serious gaming for mayors. So serious gaming is kind of cool and mayors usually aren't. So, but these mayors can be very cool because they understand that serious gaming will help them to learn how to manage a crisis in a city. Because usually it's very difficult to learn this. You can read a book, but that's not really learning, but reading. So what TNO has done together with the universities in the Netherlands, they developed a serious game, and to learn really on the spot crisis management, for instance, in case of accidents or disasters. And this was really well perceived by the mayors. Another school, university in the Netherlands for applied science is the HKU, the Hogeschool voor de Kunsten Utrecht. And Utrecht is a city right in the heart of the Netherlands. So they have a very beautiful master program for students. So if you want to maybe participate in this as a student or as a visiting professor, then let us know. This hogeschool, HKU, has also joined a venture with the University of Utrecht and TNO, and that is called the Center for Advanced Gaming and Simulation, in which they use computer science, psychology, and game design to really develop new technology for highly effective learning and training. So they are also looking for international partners. Of course, the ties between, the bonds between Singapore and the Netherlands on serious gaming are already pretty tight. An example of that is this CASA 2012, which was this year in May at the NTU, the local university here in Singapore. And this was a joint workshop between universities from the Netherlands and this Singapore university. And it was very successful. A very nice collaboration is starting up after this. So. If you want to participate in events in the Netherlands, these are just a few that I mention here. But of course, if you really have a specific theme in mind, please contact us. For instance, in August this year, we were organizing a program for a business matchmaking mission from the Netherlands to Singapore. And we had a very successful seminar at the Game Solution Center here in Singapore, in which about 10 speakers from the Netherlands attracted about 70 people local in Singapore. And it was a fantastic, successful networking event slash seminar. What I can do, the technology matchmaking service, this is what the embassy can do for you. So if you're looking for partners in projects, if you're looking for help in licensing agreements or collaboration in research and development, we can help to identify the right partners for you. And what is very important for you to know, that it is free of charge. The Netherlands Office for Science and Technology and the Foreign Investment Agency, we are both headquartered in the Netherlands, but we have our office here in the Netherlands Embassy here in Singapore, and also in more than 19 overseas embassies around the world. We are part of the Ministry of Economic Affairs, Agriculture and Innovation, and like I said, it's a complimentary service and confidential. So if you want any more information, please don't hesitate to contact us, and maybe even pay a visit at our embassy. We have a very nice cappuccino machine, so we can help you there. Thank you so much.